Whoa.
Man, that was pretty official, man.
Yeah. Wasn't it though? What's going on, Chief?
Man, I'm trying to figure out this technology because we're starting our podcast here pretty soon too.
Are you? Okay.
I got all this crazy shit.
Yeah, we got one behind the computer too, there, Chief.
Yeah, it's just all over the place. So hopefully the sound comes in okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sounds good.
So I got my IT director and his wife both like making sure I don't screw shit up. So that's Jeff. Teresa's to my right.
They ain't got to worry about that, Chief, because we screw shit up daily. So
that's good. That's part of what our YouTube channel's about, is all the times we screw up trying to record the podcast.
Well, I can't wait to watch you guys, inseminate a cow.
Thanks, Chief. Yeah.
I'm not paying child support though.
Hey, you never know, if your DNA is connected, they might be able to put a case on you in a couple of years. Cows have feelings too, though.
That's only if the rubber glove rips, though.
Well, I'm glad you could make it, Chief.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
All right.
I got this extra light that like makes me super shiny and beautiful.
I
got this microphone over here that I want to look at, but I know I'm not supposed to.
You've always been a sexy bitch, Chief, so don't worry about
it.
Ooh.
Well, Chief, I think what we'll do is we'll do our intro and get everything started, and then we're going to just start out with letting you explain how this organization came about and your role, and then we'll just get into questions from there. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's nothing scripted, Chief. Yeah. We just pull it out our ass pretty much.
Yep. That's
good.
Just like the Army, Chief, nothing changed.
I'm a pro at pulling things out of my fourth point of contact.
Yes, indeed. All right, you ready? Welcome everybody to Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. This is Don.
This is Doug.
Today we've got a special guest, retired warrant officer Chief Rathbun. He's here to talk about his organization out in Washington State, leavingthesideline.org. How you doing, Chief?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good. Doing good.
We see you still accept the title Chief, right?
When I first got in the Army, I was like, guys, I'm Mike now. Like, I hung that stuff up. And they're like, no, you're always Mike, Chief.
No. When I looked at your TikTok, it still says Chief Mode 3.
Well, funny story about that is, so I agreed to do this 100-mile ruck for suicide awareness, and anybody that stopped me, I'd hand them a message that I pull out of my rucksack. And then my wife asked me to move some furniture, that hoorah story about when you did something really cool, but not really. So I went to move a piece of furniture, and my bicep popped off from the shoulder blade down, and I went into emergency surgery, and I had like 16 miles left. So in my mind, I was like, I'll just cut the shoulder strap off, put the belt on the waist, and wear it on the other shoulder that's not been repaired. So I finished the 16 miles, but I was higher than a giraffe's ass, and then this organization called Travel Squad was like, oh man, that's Chief Mode. So they made t-shirts, and they did a fundraiser for a guy that was in Alaska that had an ATV accident that flipped 8 times and almost killed him.
Wow.
And he was a warrant officer that I was real good friends with, and he survived.
That's like the Rathbun way though, right there.
Yeah. It is. I'm not going to quit for any reason at all.
All the stupid shit we did in the gym. That's the true fucking Rathbun way right there.
Yeah, it's true.
So, Chief, tell us a little bit about this organization you're a part of.
Yeah, so Leaving the Sideline is a 501c3. We're federally recognized, and we're housed in the state of Washington. Our focus is to prevent suicide. So we have three founding attributes: community, camaraderie, and compassion. The three things that, you know, when a transitioning veteran or first responder leave the force, it's the three things that you notice that you lose right away. The phone calls stop from the people that normally depend on you. The buddies that you spend a lot of time with kind of drift away. And then nobody truly understands why you feel the way you do. And in the military, people would kind of like, you know, First Sergeant Norton back in the day when Chief was all pissed off because the support battalion didn't know what the hell they were doing on a mission. You know, he had compassion for me, but he also like shared like insight that I didn't have at the time. So those things walk away. And a lot of people within the first 45 days of transitioning out of the military, either before leaving the military or after, they're in a very fragile state of mind where suicide is, you know, a very viable option for them.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. In transitioning times for all of us, you know, when we all went through that, it definitely changes things. You know, you walk out feeling like a hero, and then when you get into the civilian world, you realize real quick that you are just a number. You're just another person in the background, and it does change everything.
And it's terrifying, you know, because like for me, for example, I was a CW3, you know, ready to pin CW4, was at the top of my field. I mean, I was selected specially to go on the first group to be the first one of my MOS that ever went there. And then I was advanced 3 grades ahead of myself to operate as the group maintenance officer and jumping out of airplanes, going to countries all over the world. I mean, I was highly sought after. I had opportunities to go work in Tampa for SOCOM. And then one day, this 88 Mike, brand new private, fresh out of airborne school, taking him through JMPI. And I'm like, hey, man, make sure you pull the yellow tab. The white one will make everything drop. It was on my stick. I'm getting ready to go get my wreath. And I leave the aircraft. And my chute opens. I look up. Everything's good. I was like, all right, this is going to be an easy day. Float to the ground and just land and get the wreath. And the next thing I knew, I felt a rucksack hit me in the back of the head. And my parachute collapsed. And I woke back up and there was a foot connected to my face. And I thought it was somebody else landing on top of my chute and we crashed into the ground, but it was my own foot. And 2 years of surgeries and rehab and, you know, finding out that I wasn't invincible like I thought I was. It really brought a lot of humility to myself. And during that time, my wife also gave birth to our daughter, Mia. And my only goal was to walk before she did, because they told me it would be a year, maybe 2 years before I'd walk again. And that didn't sit with me. So the fight was real.
That's where cheat mode comes into play.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it. So with this organization, what is the process? Is it primarily just for veterans, or is it open for anybody that needs help, or what is your guys' primary focus?
So our primary focus is the entire community, veterans, active duty, and dependents, the first responders and their dependents. Okay. You know, the perspective I got in this was when I got hurt, I got all the medical and mental support I needed, right? Yep. My wife didn't. So inside, she was struggling, she was suffering, and she didn't have a voice, and no one really cared to hear what she had to say. And, you know, I feel like that traumatic experience for her had made some difficulties, like for her to be able to process, like how badly injured I was, how long it would take for me to recover. Would I even be able to, you know, be functional as a civilian? And, you know, I feel it's important that we get those dependents, the children, the husbands, the wives of the service member that you know, they may have some traumatic experience that they need somebody to hear them out on. And this is the community where we're going to do that with the total goal of trying to commit or prevent people from committing suicide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how does the process start? If somebody's looking for you, is it like a crisis line that they call, or do you guys come in after the fact, after they're starting to seek help?
No, so we have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn even. If someone sends us a message, one of our members will respond, and we'll figure out what it is that's causing the crisis. A lot of times it's people feel like their situation is something that no one else has experienced, but a lot of times the situation is very much the same as others.
Right. Absolutely.
And we have veteran service officers all over the United States. We have points of contact that can provide the relief, financial relief, or whatever the situation that's causing them the stress. We also have I have personal contacts that are recruiters across the entire United States for different corporations that also help with employment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see that, because as a leader, when I was in, a lot of the problems, you've seen it repeatedly. As the soldiers came up through the ranks, their problems would come off, and the next rotation of guys coming up to that same rank would encounter those same things, whether it be the private that can't afford anything, that's falling for the pay here scams and everything else at the pawn shops and all that stuff, or the E4 that's wife is wanting to leave because he's gone all the time. I mean, all these problems become everybody's problem, and like you said, once you leave the military, you no longer have that support channel of the people above you that have been in those same problems as they were coming up, to go to. I know I still get phone calls and messages from soldiers, asking me advice, and
That's good though.
it is, it makes you feel good to know that you can still help. But in that same token, it still sits in the back of my mind that, I'm not in anymore, and I'm not sure what kind of help I can really be, because things are so different out here.
And the other thing is, regulations change. So we may not be relevant in the regulation.
Absolutely.
But I have points of contact that are willing to provide the guidance to us if regulations don't align with what we used to know. So we have active military advisors that will actually tell us, like, this is what I'd recommend, make sure they go through this process, or we'll actually connect those two so that active duty service member and the advisor can actually get them on the right sheet of music.
Right. So are you guys doing like face-to-face meetups with people that are in crisis, or is this all like kind of like a crisis helpline chats and stuff like that?
No, if I get a call, I mean, I've had, I want to say, over 40 calls from either service members, dependents, or even children of service members, that either the service members in crisis or dependents in crisis. And I've come in and walked in the garage and interfered with a suicide attempt. There's times where I've had guns turned at me because they wanted me to tell them what I was going to do for them, or it would turn nasty on me. And it's a kind of scary situation too, because when you look at a man's eyes or a woman's eyes and they have absolutely nothing in their mind worth living for, like, you have 30 seconds, you have an elevator pitch speech where you can tell them what their value is, or that we can resolve that problem that's really pushing them over the edge. And you really hope that it means something and will stick, because sometimes it's not actually a nice conversation. Sometimes you're telling them that they're making a poor decision and that they're not seeking relevant situational awareness.
Right. Just like what they say all the time in the Army, this is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, what the Army helps us with though, right, is reading people. how we grew up through the Army, it's like how you can talk to this person. So like, you know, you start asking questions, you feel them out and everything like that. And so number one, you're walking up on somebody, you don't know who the hell it is, you know, their background or anything. And once they start talking, you kind of get a feel for like where they've been or who they, you know, who they are.
Right.
And to get that feel, because like talking to Chief was totally different than talking to you my first time, you know, so it's just totally different people. So, I mean, I've ran into that a few times, having to talk to different people and kind of walk them off the ledge, right? And there's been several out there that I've served with in the past that I wish would have had my number or reached out to me that had ended up ending their life, right? And that was after, and like Chief said, that was after they got out, you know, and it was either over, you know, spousal problems or gambling debts, or I mean, the list goes on and on for different reasons why they might think they have to do something. So
yeah, you know, and I think that list compiles when we walk away from the military. Once we get out in the civilian world, you know, now every problem no longer has the solution because it's all brand new. You know, the private that had the pay problems, you know, you sent him to AER, they helped him out, they gave him some financial counseling, but that was, you know, that was the system, the way it worked. Well, once you're out of the military, even those problems are now your problems. There is nobody out there to help. You know, it's go to a bank. Well, if you're not approved, they don't care. It's you're a number. You're that credit score when it comes to them, whether they're going to help you out or not. So, you know, other than a few churches and a few under paid programs out there that just don't have the funding to really do enough to help, I can see how once you transition, everything, you know, accelerates on how fast you get to that point where you're done.
Right. And, you know, the sad thing is, you know, leaving the sideline was created because I failed to read the signs. You know, I had a really close friend that I served from the day I joined the Army till, you know, retirement. And we were living 3 doors away from each other. Like, we purposely bought this house that, I mean, it needed a lot of work, but I knew that my friend was just down the street. So I bought this house with the intent that I'm going to spend a lot of money fixing it. But I have somebody that I'll be able to be close with, that I've been close with for years. During the pandemic, a lot of companies in this area, they were pulling that will clause. They were saying, hey, we extended this offer to you with the intent that you would start on this day, but unfortunately, because of production levels and things like that, we have to pull your offer back. And you know how it is when you get bad news, you catastrophize. And that's what he and his wife did. Friday night we talked. I had him lined up for an interview on Monday. He would have started the following Monday. He would have been fine. In Spokane, where he was moving to because he sold his house with the intent to live out there. And Saturday morning, I was working on the grill because he was coming over for a barbecue, like we do every Memorial Day weekend. And I didn't answer the call. And I want to say 3 minutes later, I heard a single gunshot. And I knew what it was. I ran to his house as fast as I possibly could. And the first thing I saw was his 10-year-old son staying over his dad.
Oh my God.
And it's, and be prior to that, you know, I saw other, you know, service members like that I had a lot of, you know, direct reports that also had decided to take their own life. And I said, you know, it's getting to the point like that everybody says something needs to change, something needs to be done. But we continue to sit back and watch these things happen, and nobody's taking true action, no true, like, meaningful action. And I took it upon myself to, you know, get great guys like Jeff Norton, Mike Goff, Keith Looker, Teresa Norton, and Kimber Good to join the team and really look for an opportunity where we could, you know, curve the edge of suicide. And I'm really proud to say that our team, over the last year and a half, 2 years of operations, we've prevented 310 people from taking their own life.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. Oh, yeah.
But the sad thing is, you know, the current state across the United States is, you know, we talk about 22 a day, right? The actual number is 38 veterans a day are taking their life. 38 veterans across the United States are taking their life every day. And I really want to create a movement, and I need other veterans to take part in it. Is we talk about 22 a day, right? 22 is too many. Well, let me ask you a question. If it was your family, how many is too many?
One, absolutely.
So why the hell are we ever going to say that 22 is okay? 22 is a statistic that people feel like, and I'll say for myself, I had a moment where I felt weak, and I thought, like, you know, my family was better off without me. I could fall in that 22 a day, right? And it would be okay, because it's just a number that you know, we could evenly fall into. But the fact is, we got to change the whole verbiage to one is one too many. If we keep saying 22 or 10 or 15, that gives people a scapegoat. But if we really push that one, and we really tell people that there's people out there that care, the suicide rate will drop. I mean, it's happened in Western Washington. It's happened in Northern Oregon, because we have people with boots on ground willing to take the action to interfere. And it's not always leaving the sideline direct members or leaving the sideline board members. It's people that, you know, might be following our page and see like someone's asking for help, and then they make contact and they talk it out and they get them to the support that's needed.
You know, you see a lot of these online Facebook groups that, you know, I think they started out for that intent. And somewhere down the line, it seemed more about how big they had gotten versus the cause that they were supporting. And you see it when you read through some of the chats of the way people are talking to each other. It doesn't really have that welcoming place of confidence where you would think somebody could really, that's in this mode, get help from. You know, I think it's good that you guys are willing to be there face to face and intervene if need be. That's one of the things that you know, they taught us in suicide awareness in the military, was at no point do you leave them to go get help. You know, if you can't have somebody with them the whole time, then you are there until you can get them to the help or somebody else comes. Because the moment you leave, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Right, and that's a mistake I made on one of my calls. Retired service member was asking for help. I was giving him the help. I was getting him the resolution. His wife came home. I said, "Hey, can you stay with him so that I can go get this stuff and bring it back to him?" And he and his wife got into an argument. He went in the garage, and you know, the rest is still, unfortunately, what happened. But
yeah,
you know, it's the biggest thing for somebody that feels like they have nothing to live for is to point out all the things that are obviously right there in front of them. Money's always going to be fluctuating, right?
Absolutely.
You'll never have enough, and you'll never have. You can always have too little, and you'll never have enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, you know, we were just talking about this in our last podcast. You know, the biggest change that I think veterans go through is while you're in the military, you're really sheltered from how the economy plays with your family's emotions. You know, yeah, we noticed that the price of food might go up just a little bit, or we noticed the gas has gotten a little bit higher or whatever. But for the most part, you know, our cost of living allowance does this. We know that when we get a house, we're trying to get it to cover from our BAH and so forth.
Yep.
So, you know, our money really doesn't get as affected. You know, we don't have a whole lot of money, but we're not affected by the huge swings. And that was the biggest thing that got to me when I got out and couldn't find a job, because every place was filing bankruptcy, and I ended up opening up my own business. And those swings, man, I'm telling you, there was no AER to go to when you needed help. It was just figure it out. You know, there were some depressing times in my 6 years when I owned that business.
Now it's working for me.
Now I'm even more depressed.
But at least you guys got good drinks to have.
That's every week, Chief.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, perspective is important too. Like, I was at a transition fair today because, you know, I work with, I got WM Pacific Northwest market area that I work for. And I got to go to JBLM, and I was talking to soldiers about perspective. They're all like, I'm a year out, I'm 11 months out. I said, hey man, this is not a sprint.
Yep.
Do not worry about the job you're going to have until 60 to 90 days. Right now, what you need to focus on is honing your skills of interviewing, resume writing. Give me a call. We'll work on it together. But you need to look at the market that you're interested in, start building your network with LinkedIn, and really reach out to people and ask them if it's a role that you're interested in, what do you do for a day-to-day job? And ask for informational interviews. And most of these people were like, well, no one's going to answer my request. I said, bro, I tell you what, there are a lot of people asking for informational interviews, and there are people willing to provide their time.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's a definite thing. Yeah, the market you want to go into, but man, the state you want to stay or you want to go to is a huge factor as well, though. I mean, if you're making, say, 60,000 in the Army and you're trying to you want to get out making that 60,000, the state you want to go to might not be paying that same amount. So, you know, it was a huge change when I got out. Like,
and perspective of what you think you're going to make when you get out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
where I made my mistake.
Yeah. A lot of people
I was like, oh man, I'm making $100,000+. Man, I'm gonna be rich. And the taxes hit.
Are you rich yet?
Wait a minute. What's that?
Are you rich
I just
yet?
looked at the taxes. Yeah. In this state, man, golly, Joe Biden's getting a limousine off my taxes. I tell you what, that dude's riding dirty on us. But I mean, I pay all these taxes, and at the end of the year, they're like, well, if you had $400 left in Army retirement, you wouldn't have to pay the government. I'm like, well, damn, man, I'm getting slapped twice. The waste management check's getting taxed out. The Army checks, I'm making too much from the Army check. I mean, come on, man. It's like, it's not even that much and then the worst part is like, so a financial broker said, hey, man, just invest your retirement check. Every month, just put in a retirement check, put in some investment plan. So me blindly being blind, I'm like, okay, put it all into this investment account. But because it hits my bank account, then debits to this investment, well, you're getting that money in your pocket. So we're taxing you. And, you know, my wife is pretty frugal as it is. So when she sees like we're paying the government like $5,000-6,000, she's like, I don't know what you got to do, but you better stop doing it because I don't want to be paying Joe Biden all this money. I'm like, okay, well, I said, well, we still have to pay taxes. Like that's just what you do in America.
She was always a smart one, Chief.
She is. She's way smarter.
I know. Except for buying Corona.
Well, I don't know if she was smart.
They were cute,
I think
though.
They were like this big, though.
They were cute. We'll go with that.
So Chief, what's the best way if somebody's in crisis? What is the best way for them to reach you?
So, power of social media is fast. If we get a message on social media, I will say within 6 to 8 hours, somebody will be responding. Now that may not be fast enough. So we also have the suicide hotline that we recommend people go to. Okay. Immediately, those people are more qualified than we are to support them. But if they still want somebody to talk to, they still need that community, camaraderie, and compassion. We're still going to be there to offset conversations, like if they need a side conversation or they want to go out and get a burger or coffee, whatever. Our team's dedicated to meeting them in person, to letting them know that there's maybe even share comparable stories. Right. They're not on their own.
Are we talking the suicide hotline at 1-800-273-8255?
Yes, sir.
Yep. That's the one I post on the site all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, like, I've called that just because I was curious, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like that I didn't want to do an informational interview when I called that number. But I said, hey, I'm a veteran and I have friends that are, going through hard times. So I want to make sure if I had a friend that called you, that you're going to actually provide the support that they need. Like, what are you giving them? What ways do you elevate their support? How do you make sure that if they're in a very dark place, how quickly can you get somebody to their home to intervene? And it's a remarkable process because sadly, they wanted to show me how fast they could get the cops to my house. And it was probably within 2.5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
But the cops weren't mad at me. They were just saying, we heard that you were kind of testing it and we take these calls very serious. So they did a check on me too, just to make sure I was okay. Because they say they do get a lot of calls where someone's claiming they're just calling it, see how the process works, but they're actually like sitting there with a gun in their lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of systems that don't work, but I'll tell you that suicide hotline is legit.
Yeah,
But also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's the bad part. The internet has become a double-edged sword. For every good system that's out there, I bet you numbers are probably 3 or 4 to 1 of the BS that you go through of trying to find things that are legit. And that free world of being able to post and do whatever you want, I think clouds that, some people just, they don't want to go through all that to find the right help. And I think that
I agree.
It's good that there's places out there that has already pre-checked and pre-verified, just like what you did. Now you can speak from experience, not just say, well, I was told this is what's going to be good for you and you should do this. What's going to happen, the next steps after they make that phone call.
And I think it's really hard to give any advice if you've never walked in the shoes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I've taken it a point to, I struggle with, PTSD, depression. Sometimes I have like issues with how I see myself, right? And I always feel like, whatever I do, it's just not enough or it's not good enough. So I have to find a way. So I was seeking counseling, and I went to one doctor, he was a flop. Went to another doctor, she was cute, but I couldn't concentrate because she had bubble gum in her mouth, was kind of clicking. And then I went to, several other doctors, and it just didn't work. And everybody's mental health or ways to find like that release of stress and pressure is different. So, I went back to the gym, and, if I go to the gym in the morning, I work out hard, I feel great all day. If I, oh shit. If I don't have the gym, or I ignore it, I start not sleeping at night. So it's important, if people are struggling, like there's a self-assessment, mental health assessment that you can just Google online, and it will tell you what kind of personality you are and what kind of actual treatment you need to find your true mental health needs.
I'm on my 5th shrink right now. I don't know what you're on. You quit your last one.
I'm on the third one.
Your third one?
Yeah.
Is that the one you quit?
No.
No, you still with that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, we get where you're coming from, Chief. We really do.
One of them quit me, so. Yeah, he closed his business and took a government contract with the Air Force there in Georgia.
Oh, I got you.
He was going to head up the PTSD unit for the Air Force, and I joked with him, and that's all it was just a joke. As he was telling me, you're going to have to find somebody else. I said, what is it that you're going to be treating? Somebody that had to stay at a Days Inn instead of a Marriott?
They might have had to stay at the Hampton and the sheets weren't clean.
exactly, you know. As to the Air Force and PTSD, that's interesting, you know. But I get it, you know, he was, you know, probably wasn't just a medical thought process, it was probably an economical thought process too, because he owned his own practice and, you know, again, there's a lot of things that go into that. You know,
Owning your business and
yeah,
stuff.
when he took
Yeah.
that contract, but yeah, he was really good. I mean, he helped me out quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think for me, having like group sessions, hearing other people's perspective on like what's bothering them and how shit's messed up, or you know, this is what's bothering me. Knowing what your triggers are and how to prevent them. And then it's funny because like we'd be in a room with other guy with like when I was in SF, there was this group where everybody get together and they talk about something bothering them, and everybody's trigger was Walmart.
I don't
Like I
like
can't go into Walmart. Everybody in there pissed me off.
Yep.
Like I can't go to Walmart either, and I'm not allowed in there anymore because I got in trouble.
Yeah, I go, but yeah, my wife and my mom both, they know time is limited because the longer I'm in there, the more somebody's gonna piss me off and I'm gonna say something. Little stores like Dollar Tree, I don't go into Dollar Trees. I stay in the car. Just how small all the aisles are and everything. I don't want nothing to do with
I
it.
just go into liquor stores anymore. That's all I can deal with. So
Liquor
I don't go to
stores.
IKEA either.
Yeah,
Oh,
go to IKEA.
that's in St. Louis. We don't go there.
Yeah.
I feel like I get lost in a maze, can't find my way out of there. My wife's like buying everything she sees, and I'm just like,
Well, that's a trigger right there.
oh my God, get me out of this place.
There's a trigger.
That's a trigger. Yeah.
Yep.
And then can you believe the audacity they have of like trying to kick me out of the bed? I mean, there's a bed there, you got to test it, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I test the bed out to see if it's comfortable? I unmade it, I got in it.
Chief, I gotta ask though, what were you doing on the bed?
I was laying on it with my shirt off. I just wanted to make sure it felt good on my back.
At least it was just your shirt, Chief.
Well, Chief, I'm glad you wasn't purchasing a toilet that day.
You know, that's on my bucket list.
Well, Chief, do you guys have a website or a place?
Yeah, so our IT director, Jeff Norton, he's created it. He's
Is his
actually
last name Norton?
Yep.
Same as mine?
Yeah, come here.
I don't think we're any relation though.
He's your third step cousin.
Third step. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, dude.
He's actually working on our website. We have a website that's open right now. You'll see about our story about why we founded.
Okay, all right.
But he's working on a really nice, more eye appeasing, more like informational website.
Sleeker.
Okay.
Okay.
He's had the time to actually work on this one. The first time we needed a website, and we had what 72 hours to post one,
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, so in 72 hours, this guy created this website, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then he's like, well, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. I'm like, well, I don't get it, man. You know, I'm simple to please. Just do something easy.
We're easy, Chief.
Yeah. But he's, you know, former military, retired at or got out on medical retirement.
Yep.
And you know, he's been a phenomenal teammate to me, because like when I had my moment, like I had a moment not that long ago, probably like a year ago, and just everything was just going the wrong direction, just stress wise and work wise, and doing EMDR with those vibrating paddles, and then they like kick you out and you're like way up here. I got a red card at a kid's soccer game. I didn't even know they had them. Yeah, and they suspended me from the game. I was like, what? I didn't even do anything. And then the referee got in my face, and then I embarrassed my family. So I was like really, really disappointed in myself. And, you know, I picked up the phone, like they say, call somebody you trust. Well, I called Jeff, and he answered, and he talked me down, and he was my partner, and he made sure that although I was completely oblivious to reason, he didn't leave me there to think my reason was right.
Been there, Jeff. Good job, man. Somebody gotta be there.
I'm a full-time job here.
It's hard to deal. It's hard to deal with
That's what I'm
sometimes.
saying, Chief. You know this.
Yeah, and I'm not stupid to believe that like it's easy to deal with me. Like I've had to learn a lot, but I feel like, you know, I've surrounded myself with the right people.
That's
I've
the
had
key.
the right people in the Army that were there. I mean,
Yeah,
the term battle buddy really has a meaning.
it
And
does.
although we're not going into battle, we're in battle with ourselves every day. So, you know, you got to find that person that you want to label that.
Oh, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, it's leaving, the sideline.org is the,
Yep.
website that if anybody's looking for information about you, that's where they can find you. Is it the same for Facebook and your social media? Is it leaving the sideline?
It's just
Yeah.
leaving the sideline.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
All right. Well,
And it's all and Memorial Day weekend on Saturday. I don't know exactly what day it is. I think it's August 28th. We're having the Frontline Music Festival. It is a blast.
okay.
Okay.
Well, we talked, we're gonna see if we can make it
22nd. Sorry, it's the 27th, August 27th.
27, okay. Well, Chief, I will make sure that, you know, when we post this video on YouTube, we'll put all your guys' contact information and post about the music festival, how they can reach, and we'll make it out, we'll put it on our pages too, to make everybody aware of what's out there and the help that they can get. And I just want to re-ask, are you guys just strictly in Washington and Oregon, or are you guys able, you know, if somebody, say from Missouri was to call, obviously, you know, you may not be able to get somebody in person to them, but you can still assist, correct?
Yep, we'll still assist anybody wherever they are.
Absolutely,
If we
good.
can help, we will help. But we're also looking at, we're dealing with our legal team right now. We actually have lawyers that we deal with, and we're looking at ways that we can expand nationwide, identify chapters, and have other people take a leadership role within other states.
Awesome.
So, you know, we're always looking for people with the right mindset to intervene, act, and motivate others to stay with us.
Well, that's awesome, Chief. All right. Well, I think we'll make sure that everybody gets your guys' information and gets it out there. And Chief, we'll go ahead and we're gonna end the podcast part. We can still stay on and talk, but we'll end this podcast, and it'll be uploaded if you guys wanted to hear it. It'll be Friday.
Friday night.
It'll come out at midnight on Friday. All right.
Awesome.
Hey, real quick though, I just want to reiterate the suicide prevention hotlines, 1-800-273-8255, and that's for military or civilian. Anybody can call that number. And again, you can message us here at Savali Army as well, or reach us on TikTok, Facebook, or YouTube. We'll answer back. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. And Chief, it's been good talking to you, and I'm looking forward to doing some face-to-face time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, thank you too there, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome.
Cousin Jeff.
Cousin Jeff.
Third cousin once removed.
Yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.